Samsung updates their Galaxy Book line with a slew of laptops that have varying degrees of capability. Now, I'm lucky enough to look at the most premium of those devices, and it is a pricey ultra-portable. But this thing is nimble and capable enough to go to all of the places that, well, I can't right now. This is Pocketnow, and I'm Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? This is the Samsung Galaxy Book Flex. One of the main draws of the premium Galaxy Book Flex is right in the name. This thing can flex around to one of many different configurations. The laptop form is really obvious, but it's easy to forget that the hinge can do all of that movement, so doing quick lifts of the laptop might make the screen shoot down the axis. Just keep that in mind. A tent formation puts the QLED 1080p touchscreen up for easy viewing, while getting all the way around makes this basically a tablet. Let's not forget about the included S Pen, making this a feature-rich little laptop. Now, we're going to get into the S Pen experience a little bit later, but let me give you a quick hot take. This is like taking the Note 10 S Pen experience and blowing it up to computer or, well, in this case, laptop proportions. The tablet formation is enjoyable mainly because the laptop is so small and sleek. The screen is 13.3 inches large, making this one of the most portable computing devices I've ever used, and all of the sides and the edges are quite angular and sharp. If anything, it helps when holding the laptop because a secure grip around this fully aluminum body is important, especially when using as a tablet. I'm constantly impressed at how much is packed into this small body though, right down to the compact but comfortably spaced keyboard and the port selections, which include a couple of surprises. Make no mistake, this laptop is best made for work. It's just work that you can now do in more places than maybe with a desktop or a larger laptop. The webcam is nice enough for work meetings and casual calls, but its 720p quality is pretty lacking. As a secondary device, especially for journaling and script writing, the Galaxy Book Flex is a very welcome and at-home addition. But the keyboard, while spaced well enough, is not exceptional. It's a good enough typing experience for long sessions, but admittedly, I'm spoiled by my mechanical keyboards. One thing that I'm a little bit peeved by is the positioning of the fingerprint reader. It's great that it's here at all, since there's no Windows Hello to get you into the Windows 10 interface by just looking at the screen, or rather the webcam. But despite how easy it is to use, the fingerprint reader requires the right shift key to be cut in half. Now, to be fair, I've had worse experiences with small shift buttons. Razor. But there are some moments here and there where I just miss the mark and my word's not capitalized and it just mildly irritates me. Speaking of fingerprints, this laptop might be super beautiful, but this aluminum body does get kinda smudged up with constant in-hand travel. I found myself wanting to wipe this thing down constantly every single day when I was using it around the house. And speaking of touches, the touchscreen is quite responsive and easy to use when scrolling or pointing at specific things. When using the touchpad is a little bit uncomfortable. Now, this particular scenario will happen when I'm not at a desk or I have the Galaxy Book Flex on my lap. I don't normally use touchscreens, but the inclusion of the S Pen makes this a more accessible use case scenario. It's quite inviting to use the touchscreen when the S Pen is around. That said, the touchpad is perfectly fine otherwise. I did try to do a little bit of graphic and photography work on the laptop, and it's okay for light editing. In particular, I used Lightroom because I figured the specifications here would still be able to handle it. I was able to go through some photos, and the screen was quite wonderful for this purpose. While there might be some room for 1080p video editing in programs like DaVinci Resolve, I figured that in that case it would just be for simple cut editing and it still might require proxies for an efficient workflow. As a straight productivity work computer with browser usage, maybe some media viewing, and certain distractions that the S Pen allows, the Galaxy Book Flex has plenty to offer. Configurations start at 8GB of RAM and 512GB of onboard storage. Now, there is an SD card slot, but perhaps oddly, it's a tray that comes out using a SIM tool. So I guess you can easily expand the storage, but getting SD cards in and out of places like the laptop to your, let's say, cameras might end up being a chore. The Intel Ice Lake processor in here is specifically tuned for light and thin laptops like this, so you just can't expect this to go too far outside of the work environment. But with all that said, it's not like this laptop is totally incapable of playing around. The processor is bundled with updated Intel Iris Plus graphics, which is more than enough for enjoying things like video content at even higher resolutions despite the 1080p screen. You can push the screen a little bit more with color settings and HDR+. And for that matter, the speakers blare out of the grill that's found on the back, made for the fan, but it still leads to decently loud audio. And in gaming, I threw less graphically intensive games like even the new Streets of Rage, and it worked just fine. Honestly, if you wanted to get your game on, streaming solutions like Steam Link are a definite way to do that. But here are a couple of surprises in the port selection which Samsung didn't skimp on. There's a headphone jack and a USB-C port on one side, and then on the other side, where the S Pen is, there are also two Thunderbolt 3 enabled USB-C ports. All of the USB ports can be used for charging, but the inclusion of Thunderbolt is a great prospect for those who want to add some extras. A fast Thunderbolt dock can make up for some of the parts that are missing, and an eGPU can add in those graphics capabilities that are otherwise missing. While the CPU is still going to be a bit of a bottleneck, especially for higher intensity games or harder video editing, it's nice that you can get some extra usage out of this laptop by just adding a couple of extra tools. And speaking of extra tools, we have the S Pen, which is obviously here to extend the capabilities of the Galaxy Book Flex. Just like in the smartphone lines, the S Pen brings not just a replacement for your finger, but plenty of other useful features. Signing documents is an obvious scenario, but you can also get custom screenshots by drawing around subjects, and you have the live message where you can write or draw anything that becomes a GIF. Remote control abilities with the S Pen also carry over, as the settings allow you to program button presses and gestures for some Windows applications. For the workers, there's PowerPoint remote control, and for media viewers on apps like Netflix, you can hang back and use the button on the S Pen to pause and play so you don't have to reach for the spacebar. But for most users, the S Pen is just a welcome alternative to smudging up the screen with your fingers. It's as precise as it should be as an input device, effectively bringing the note experience to a notebook, right down to the coloring and the doodling that you can do in apps like PenUp. The S Pen's nothing new to Samsung's laptops, of course, but as an added bonus, it's still an effective differentiator. And then there's some other surprises that Samsung put into parts of this laptop. Mobility is obviously the name of the game with the Galaxy Book Flex, as there's even a wireless charging module in the touchpad. This wireless power share here might not be very powerful, but if you're just taking a break, sitting back and doing some reading or watching anything on the screen, being able to put things like your phone or an earbud case on this touchpad and charging it up, topping it off during that time is still really cool. Small but nimble laptops like this are always incredibly fun. Now, you are paying the price for ultra portability, but that doesn't mean that the Galaxy Book Flex is incapable of finding a home in many different environments. Now, as creators, especially speaking personally, we do wear a lot of different hats, and I'm not just talking about the hats that we use to cover the quarantine hair. From top to bottom, we're script writers, video editors, photo editors, mostly casual gamers, and one day when this is all over, we're all going to be commuters and travelers again. This laptop doesn't really fulfill all of those scenarios, but you can add a couple of extra tools to try and get it closer to that jack-of-all-trades moniker. However, this is definitely a productivity laptop through and through, capable of some extras that are always welcome, even if it's not going to be the best at them. But in general, it is nice to specialize, and when you're looking to get productive without being tethered to the desk, the Galaxy Book Flex, especially this 13-inch model, is still really nice to have in the kitchen, the living room, on the couch, or on the porch. So that's why this laptop is the premium one in the newly released Galaxy Book bunch. Putting $1,349 down for an ultra-portable laptop is a big ask, no doubt. S Pen fans looking to adapt that experience to a laptop or a tablet can find both in this new notebook. But outside of those specific users, you still get a few ways to make this thing more of a jack-of-all-trades ultrabook. But you have to know what you're getting into and what extra tools might help you get there. Overall though, this ultra-portable notebook is ready for wherever you bring it when you're finally able to go to all those places again. It's as nimble as you are, even if it's just around the house. Get into the comment sections and let me know what you think about the Galaxy Book Flex or any of the new Galaxy Book laptops. Also, drop some likes on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. With all that said, we're going to call it on this one. Thank you again for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you in our next video.